It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it
The madness has begun. The games last night in Dayton were fun, especially the Mississippi State-Pittsburgh game. That was a ball. Even the NIT was fun. Did you watch any of the NIT, J-Mo?
No, but I followed along with the Vanderbilt score.
I watched. I kept going back and forth to all the games. I really did. SEMO, they foul a lot. You know, their coach is a former Saluki. So I was really pulling for them, and he's done a good job of changing the way SEMO plays and everything. But my gosh, I think he's got that philosophy. You know, Rick Pitino had it. Nolan Richardson had it. Foul on every play because they're not going to call every one of them. But they called 31 of them last night. That was costly. So Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I felt bad for DJ Jeffries. You see the way the game went down to the wire?
I saw it ended up being a 1-point finish, but I haven't seen any highlights or anything about how it finished.
So, I'm trying to remember the final score on that thing.
Like 60-59, wasn't it? It was very low scoring.
Let's see.
Yeah, 60-59. Pittsburgh won.
So it was by one.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh scores. There's like 9 seconds left. And State inbounds the ball. They come down, and they get a wide-open look. I think the ball might have been knocked out of bounds or something. So it's a sideline entry. And they're either going to look for Tulu Smith inside, or they set screens and go to the weak side. Avery Johnson thought they'd go strong side. And they get a wide-open look in the corner for three. I mean, wide open. And when it goes, I think he's got it. And I can't remember who took the shot, but DJ Jeffries has a wide-open offensive rebound that he tries to tip in, and it misses. And that is the way the season and DJ Jeffries' career in college come to an end, 60-59. But it was really fun to watch all these games, especially when, Tigers are on their way. As soon as this show's over, I head right to the airport. Off we go. It's going to be a lot of fun when they play the FAU Owls. Do you realize there are only 4 Owls? So this is perfect for Brett Norsworthy. He would know this. Like if I asked, what are the 4 schools in the country that have Owl nicknames, of which 3 of them are going to be in the American Athletic Conference?
I know Temple and I know FAU. I was trying to rack my brain while you were saying that, and that's really the only 2 I can come up with off the top of my head.
I'll give you the third one is Rice, because all 3 of those.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of those are going to be in the American. The only one not in the American, but actually is moving up to Conference USA, is Kennesaw State. Kennesaw
State's the Owls.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that.
That's the 4 Owls. 3 of them going to be in the American. Maybe this is going to be a new rivalry. Memphis and FAU. The more I read, the more I see, the more I get scared of Florida Atlantic. I did homework yesterday, and I talked with Chip Walters, the longtime voice of Middle Tennessee State. They played them. They beat them this year. They beat FAU, but they also lost to them, and they may have lost to them in the tournament as well. So they're deep. And 5 of the 6 guys in their rotation that get a lot of minutes are all returners. And this you'll love, because I just heard Bobby Knight's name a whole bunch. The coach, Dusty May, who I think is going to be sort of a hot commodity, right? He's been mentioned in, like, Texas Tech. I think I heard his name. I think I heard his name for Ole Miss for a little bit there. But Dusty May was a student manager for Bobby Knight at Indiana. How about that?
That I've heard stories. That is an existence. That's a certain way to live.
Well,
I can't expand on that. I don't think. Not on the radio.
it's like 3 different Bobby Knight managers are in the tournament. One's an assistant coach, Dusty May, and somebody else who's a coach. That's pretty interesting, right? All these student managers have obviously learned their lessons well. So anyway, they have 6 different guys on this team that have had 40 or more assists. Think about that. They average 15 assists a game. But that means everybody's touching the ball. Everybody's passing the ball. And I've told you already yesterday, 7 different guys can shoot with authority. A couple of them have 63s. There's 7 guys that have at least 33s. That's pretty impressive. And they hit them at a good rate. 10 per game at a 41% clip. Wow, that's UCF, even more threes, and more guys that can shoot the threes. Scary, because this stuff that's 5 out is tough for Memphis. They've had a hard time with that matchup. And this was something that Chip Walters told me that I thought was really interesting. He says the way Dusty May uses his 9 guys, there's never a bad guy. There's not a weak guy ever on the floor. So there's nobody you can just say, we'll leave him open. We can double him because that guy can't hurt us. Every guy on the floor can hurt you at all times with the 9-man rotation, the way he uses it. So it's going to be interesting. All these guys, he plays 7 guys, 20 or more minutes, and then 2 other guys that play at least 16. So that's how he's able to accomplish what he wants to do. And it's going to be a tough test. Most people are picking Memphis. I've seen like the percentages anywhere from 53% to 60%. There's nobody that just says, oh, Memphis is going to kill these guys. They're not any good. Everybody said you don't win 31 games unless you're pretty good. Now, they did lose to Ole Miss, but they beat Florida at Florida. Florida, by the way, in the NIT tonight. We're going to talk SEC and all those games with Stats Newsworthy. Hopefully, our last segment will go to Baton Rouge and talk a little bit with our good friend Ron Higgins.
About the Will Wade hire, too, so he'll know a lot about that.
Well, did you see what comes with the Will Wade hire?
No.
So Will Wade got hired, and as soon as he got hired, it's in his contract. McNeese State has suspended him for the first 5 games. So he's not going to coach in the first 5 games of McNeese State next year. And this is all self-imposed by the school on Will Wade. He cannot recruit off campus until August. Now, I don't know how big a deal that is. When is the early signing period? Would that affect a signing period if he cannot go off campus? So that doesn't mean he can't see him when they come on campus.
The signing period, I'm just going to read what this says. When is National Signing Day? National Signing Day is November 9th for all D1 and D2 sports outside of football. Oh, that's outside of football or basketball. Yeah. Never mind. Bad information.
So basketball recruiting, signing periods. That's how you Google it.
I thought I did. Here it is. It looks like there's a signing period in November for college basketball, so you still have a full month going into that.
Well, no. He's going to be able to go off campus. It's already March. Is there an April, May signing period?
Oh, yes. April 12th.
There you go.
Till May 17th.
Okay, so that signing period there is affected because he can't go off campus for that particular signing period.
Until August is what you're saying.
Until August.
So for the November one, November 9th to 16th, he's fine.
Which is the early one. The late one now is, this would be freshmen that didn't get picked up.
Right.
Or, guys that really maybe have orally committed and didn't sign papers, they can get picked up.
Or junior college transfers, even.
JC, all these guys. So, so there is some penalty to that. We will chat with our friend, hopefully Ron Higgins, about all of that. Blake Toppelmeyer, who writes for USA Today, and I don't know if he is originally with the Knoxville News Sentinel, or I'm really trying to remember which his home newspaper is in that network. You got that?
No, it just says, like you said, USA Today Network.
Wow. He wrote the most scathing column pertaining to Ole Miss's desperation, his words, in hiring Chris Beard. I mean, woo. And he set it up perfectly. Like, he gives the quote where Chris Beard says, I really wish I could have talked publicly about all this time, pertaining to the incident with his ex-fiancée, because now we find out he's no longer engaged to that fiancée. What is her name? Randy True? Is that what it is? Trew or something of that nature. He sets it up with that and then basically says, well, when you had the chance, you didn't. He wouldn't say anything. All he does is refer to that the charges were dropped on her statement on December the 23rd. I think it was the 23rd, or February the 23rd, whichever 23rd it is, where she says he was doing all that in self-defense, basically. That's what he's trying to point out. I don't know how you bite somebody in self-defense. I don't know how you choke somebody from behind in self-defense. That's just me. But he does point out that this was the window. They did vet him, whatever the vetting was, because they would never say the sources that they used to vet Chris Beard. They want to win, and he's going to make sure that happens. I believe he'll make Ole Miss relevant in basketball, and they have not been. They've had really been able to pay off in it. I think they have a total of 5 NCAA wins in history. Wow, that's pretty amazing considering how long the history is. I think Chris Beard will change that, if he stays long enough. Because if he's successful, which I think he'll be, how long will he stick around? I didn't see what the buyout was. I know his contract is $3.25 million per year. That's and it goes up 100 every year, which is really not that much more than Kermit Davis. He was making $3,152,000. So it's $100,000 more than Kermit Davis was making. It's $2 million less than he was making at Texas, because he was making $5 million plus there. But I did not see anything about a buyout. It's a 4-year deal. It gets a $100,000 raise every year. There's other built-in incentives. We'll chat with Brett Norsworthy about his thoughts on all of it and how quickly he thinks they can make things happen. This is an interesting little nugget I unearthed along those lines. Since the portal and NIL, 27 coaches have taken over programs at the upper level. 13 of them in their very first year made the NCAA tournament. Now, there were 4 guys, and again, this is where the new signing period can help. There were 4 guys that early signed or committed that could or could not come. So he's got to re-recruit those guys if he wants them. And then there's not many guys returning. Morrell is one. Kid from Memphis, Matthew Morrell, is a really good player. A lot of people think he's transferring or he's going to go pro, but who knows? Chris Beard might say, hey, I'll feature you. We can do some good things. And he seems to be pretty persuasive in that regard. Heck, he brought a bunch of transfers that made Texas really good this year. So, again, we will chat with Brett Brett Norsworthy about all of that. In the meantime, all right, let's have some fun. Let's make our picks on the NCAA tournament. Which region do you want to begin with?
Dealer's choice, Dave. I'm good no matter where you want to go. Now, are we going all the way through here, or we're just saying who we think wins the first round games at this point?
No,
all the way through.
We're going all the way through.
Love it.
We're going all the way. So let's start. I printed mine like it's tradition. I went to the Commercial Appeal website to print it. So the one I got, I think I did. No, I guess I went to CBS Sports. I apologize. So I'm going to start with the South bracket, South region.
Love it.
Work our way down. So Memphis will end up being in the. Let's see
the second group.
Second group, yeah, in the South. Okay, you ready? Alabama's going to beat. Now we know it's Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Maryland is going to beat West Virginia. I saw a very good prediction today that I think could really happen because Bob Huggins, who I love, Huggs is sick of NIL and portal.
I can't blame him.
He's not really pleased with how coddled all these guys are these days.
I can't blame him on that.
He can't be as tough as he used to be. His
can't.
teams are not as tough as they used to be. The only guy that can get away with that these days seems to be Shaka Smart.
And even his teams aren't the same as they were at VCU.
No. So he's going to retire after he loses to Maryland. So I've got Maryland beating West Virginia. I got San Diego State beating Charleston. I've got Virginia beating Furman. I have NC State over Creighton in an upset. Creighton's just that they have pieces that could win a title, but they played so bad. After that big kid got hurt, even when he came back, they've never regained their early form. I don't know what's wrong with that team. They're going to get upset by NC State. And then I've got Baylor beating UC Santa Barbara and Missouri beating Utah State. And then finally Arizona beating Princeton. Okay? I got so you give me your winners there, and then we'll go to the next round.
I also have Alabama. I also have Maryland. I think Charleston beats San Diego State.
Wow, 12 over 5.
12 over 5. I think Furman beats Virginia. I think NC State beats Creighton, so that's 3 straight lower seeds, and I'm going to go 4 straight. I think UCSB beats Baylor.
Wow.
And I'm going to make it 5 straight lower seeds. I think Utah State can beat Missouri. And then lastly, I'm going to go with a favorite. I think Arizona beats Princeton.
All right. Next round, I got Alabama beating Maryland and San Diego State over Virginia. So the team you knocked out, I've got beaten Virginia, but you had Furman in that spot.
Charleston and Furman, that's right.
Then I've got Baylor over NC State, Arizona. I'll just finish it out. That means Alabama and Baylor, and I got Alabama in the Final Four.
I think Alabama beats Maryland, like you said. I think Charleston beats Furman. I think UC Santa Barbara beats NC State and goes to the Sweet 16, and I think Arizona beats Utah State. I have Alabama over Charleston, and I have Arizona over UC Santa Barbara. I think Alabama goes to the Final Four.
So we both have it in the Final Four, but a lot different road. All right, let's go to the Tigers bracket here, and we'll start with the 1 seed Purdue. I think they will beat either Fairleigh Dickinson or Texas Southern Johnny Jones's team. I think Memphis is going to beat Florida Atlantic. I think Duke will beat Oral Roberts. I think Tennessee will beat Louisiana. I think Providence will beat a Kentucky team that just never put it together this year. I like Kansas State over Montana State. I like Southern Cal over Tom Izzo's Michigan State team, and Marquette to beat Vermont.
I think Purdue beats whoever they play in that regard. I think Florida Atlantic beats Memphis. I hope they don't, but just like what you're saying yesterday, those three-pointers scare the heck out of me the way they play. I think Duke beats Oral Roberts. I think Tennessee beats Louisiana. I have Kentucky over Providence, Kansas State over Montana State, Michigan State over USC, and Marquette over Vermont. Pretty much almost all chalk except for FAU.
Wow, so you go a lot different way. I got Memphis beating Purdue, Tennessee And Duke is a winner. Providence is going to knock off Kansas State, so I've got Providence, which is an 11th seed all the way to the Sweet 16. And then I've got Marquette beating USC. I got Memphis beating Duke, Marquette beating Providence. So I've got an Elite Eight game. And then it comes to an end. Marquette beats Memphis to get to the Final Four.
I also have Purdue losing, but like I said, I have FAU. So I think FAU beats Purdue. I think Duke beats Tennessee. I think Kansas State beats Kentucky, so chalk in that regard. And then I have Marquette beating Michigan State. I have Duke and Marquette in the Elite Eight, so they win their Sweet 16 games. Then I have Marquette playing in the Final Four.
So we both have that side, the same Final Fours.
That's right. I really debated Duke going to the Final Four, but I think Marquette's been very consistent all year long.
All right. Let's go to the other side. I apologize. Wouldn't you know it? NCAAs, I'm fighting a cold.
You've been grinding out all season, though. This is the time of year, and the weather's not doing you any favors.
You're right. So let's go to the Midwest. I got Houston, a winner over Northern Kentucky. Auburn at home beats Iowa. Miami over Drake. Indiana over Kent State. Iowa State, a winner over Pitt now. Xavier over Kennesaw State. A&M over Penn State. Texas over Colgate.
I have Houston over Northern Kentucky. I think Auburn beats Iowa in that Birmingham game. I think Drake beats Miami. I think Drake is a good basketball team. I think they can take down Miami. A little bit of injuries going on there. I have Indiana over Kent State. I think Pittsburgh wins their first 4 game and also beats Iowa State. I have Xavier over Kennesaw State, but that one was tough. Kennesaw State's really good. Texas A&M I have beating Penn State, and I have Texas over Colgate.
How bad is that injury with the Miami kid?
I think I don't know how bad the injury is per se, but I know the guy is a very significant contributor, and that's pretty much all I know about it.
But I thought he was coming back because I got them going a long way.
He might be coming back. Let me check.
I have Houston over Auburn, Miami over Indiana, Xavier over Iowa State, A&M over Texas, then Xavier over A&M, and Miami over Houston, and Miami in the Final Four.
Going the whole way.
You got them losing in the first round.
I do. It looks like he will be playing. He just twisted his ankle in that semifinal game, but ample time at this point.
Yeah.
He should be fine to play.
Right.
I have Houston beating Auburn. I have Indiana taking down Drake. I have Pittsburgh winning a first 4 game and going to the Sweet 16 over Xavier, and then I have Texas beating Texas A&M.
We differ big time here.
We do. I have Houston beating Indiana, and I have Texas beating Pittsburgh, and then I have Texas going to the Final Four.
Wow. Okay. And then finally, I have Kansas, the 1 seed over Howard, Arkansas to beat Illinois, St. Mary's to beat VCU, UConn to beat Iona, TCU over the winner of Arizona State and Nevada. Gonzaga's a winner over Grand Canyon. I've got Northwestern over Boise. A lot of people like Boise. And then I got UCLA to beat the UNC Asheville Cinderellas.
I also have Kansas over Howard. I have Arkansas over Illinois. St. Mary's over VCU. I think Iona beats UConn.
Wow.
I've got Rick Pitino going to the next round.
That would be amazing.
That would be something. I have TCU beating either Arizona State or Nevada, and I went ahead when I looked through. I think Nevada's going to win that game. That's a free one for you. Gonzaga, I have beating Grand Canyon. I have Boise State beating Northwestern, and then UCLA, like you said.
All right. Then I've got Kansas beating Arkansas. I've got UConn beating St. Mary's. I've got Gonzaga beating TCU, UCLA over Northwestern. I like Kansas over UConn over Gonzaga. And unfortunately, because I don't like them, but I've got Kansas advancing to the Final Four.
I've got Kansas beating Arkansas and St. Mary's beating Iona. I have Gonzaga beating TCU, and I have UCLA beating Boise State. But then I have Gonzaga beating UCLA. Kansas takes down St. Mary's. Kansas, Gonzaga, Elite Eight. Gonzaga to the Final Four.
You got Gonzaga in the final. So I've seen some people pick Gonzaga all the way. So we differ on that side of the bracket. I like Alabama over Marquette.
Oh, I like our Alabama over Marquette as well.
And then I've got Kansas over Miami.
I've got Gonzaga over Texas.
And then I've got Kansas winning the championship.
I'm going to take the Gonzaga Bulldogs to be the national champions.
All right. Very good. Those are our picks. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure studio. Don't forget what they call preseason patio and pool sale. Yeah. It does feel like preseason, doesn't it? Because it's so cold outside, but the prices are hot. They're good. It's preseason. Cash in. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. You'll love the layaways and specials. There's special financing available that's going on right now. Enjoy your backyard this summer. Get in on the spring savings at Family Leisure. Our title sponsor is Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. It's also a place where you can pick up Genesis. And they got a real special now on the smaller sedan, the G70. I call it a rocket ship. It's a sports car. It's full of luxury, that Genesis car. And right now, special price and special financing. If you go through Genesis Finance, they'll give you a $1,000 rebate. They're paying you to do business with them at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We pause for a second. When we come back to Forest City we go. Brett Norsworthy is standing by. He's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We say it all the time. Bell Tavern in downtown Memphis is first and foremost a bar that just happens to have high-def TVs tuned to sports. But this month, well, there's madness on those TVs. Madness, which I'm not even allowed to say. The big dance, the tournament, and there's no better place to catch those games than at Bell Tavern, where the atmosphere might get a little rowdy during a tournament game, but never so much that you'll be uncomfortable. Bell Tavern just isn't that kind of bar. If you want to enjoy college basketball in the perfect place, well, that's going to be Bell Tavern.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event is on at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Come test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric with 420 total range, 64 combined MPG, and 38 minutes best charging time. And you may be eligible for up to $7,500 federal EV incentive and $1,500 lease cash. Come check it out at Gossett Mitsubishi, plus 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander with 3 rows of seating for up to 7 people. We Gossett at $499 a month or buy for $34,055. Looking for some peace of mind in your new ride? How about Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty? 2023 Outlander, $499 a month, or get 1.9 for 36 months and test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Outlander PZO 12158 MSRP 34555 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/31/2023. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I meant to mention Grizz tonight in Miami. Damian Lillard just said something very interesting because I don't enjoy what the NBA is becoming. I understand we play to win championships. He's talking about load management, but he says the journey matters. The journey matters. Yeah. You should be playing. You either need to play less games, schedule it out so everybody can play in every game, or, figure it out. The journey matters. Thank you, Damian Lillard. One last thought. So there is no definitive word, right? When Ja's coming back, we know he's in Florida, right? We know he cannot play until after tonight. Where are they tonight? Oh, they're in Miami. We don't know where in Florida, but I'm sure he can get to Miami from wherever it is. Maybe this will be the last game he's not with the team. I have no idea when I say that. That is just absolute speculation on my part. In the meantime, let's head to Forest City. Our friend you listen to every afternoon on the acclaimed Sports Time on Sports 56. That would be Brett Norsworthy. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, Dave, and really excited for these games. Last night was fun.
Yeah.
That was two terrific games to watch in Dayton. And in Mississippi State's 3-point woes got them. They didn't make a single three the entire second half. Came out house of fire, made some early threes, but ended up one of my favorite sayings. Gabe used to love when I would say this: water finds its level. Averages play out. You are who you are, especially over a long, big sample size. They end up shooting 26% from three.
Yeah. Yeah, and they missed the big one at the end, and unfortunately for DJ, and I love that guy, really did. I was so sad when he left. He helped us win that NIT championship. He got in a nice run at the end. He just missed a fairly easy putback when you look at a degree of difficulty. But,
He did, Dave.
At the very end.
He just did. And in the end, now does that complete his eligibility at state? Because I don't know on eligibility anymore.
I think it does. I think this
it does.
I think this year was his
It's got to be
COVID
close
year.
to it.
Has to be. He was with Memphis how many years? At least two.
But, Dave, I say this with no malice and no rancor. In the end, wasn't DJ last night kind of the same player that he was opening night? Kind of dollar move, nickel shot.
I think he got better over the years.
DJ has one more year.
Oh, he does?
Because he was in college during that COVID time period. He's only played 4 years.
So he played two in Memphis and two in Mississippi
so
State.
You get that
okay,
fifth
well,
year.
then maybe next year will be the big breakout and be consistent year. But it was always it's been so unfulfilling with him because you expect so much. Maybe we expect too much.
Here's what I think. I think by now, because of what you just said about the watermark, about looking at trends and looking at history and see where they are, DJ is a very good inside player. He's stronger than he was when he was at Memphis. He is a good rebounder. He had 9 rebounds in the first half of that game. I don't know how many he ended up with, but obviously double digits. But he had 13 or 14 rebounds.
I think he ended with 9, but he did have good rebounding.
Oh, no, he had I saw him at least get one more. But he's not a great outside shooter. Don't expect him to be a three-point shooter. He's a guy that should operate inside.
He had 13.
13 rebounds. I thought he had 4 in the second half. So that's what he is. And I'm glad he's getting another year. I really am. I wonder if he'll end up staying at Mississippi State because, you can transfer. He's a grad student now. He can use that grad rule. So
and the Tigers may see him, according to some scheduling rumors out there, but I can't confirm that.
Let's get to the press conference yesterday with Chris Beard at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. I know you, as far as I know I've seen many people claim credit. You were the first guy on the air, anyway, to say you thought he would end up at Ole Miss, and you were well for it because how many times can you get to Ole Miss with their tradition and history? How many times can you get a guy who's a true difference maker as a coach? And so I give you credit because I think you're the first one that came out and said it. I'm looking at exactly what he gets in his contract, which is the 4-year state contract. In this next year, 2023, $3,250,000. Then in 24, $3,350,000 goes up 100 each year. 25, $3,450,000, and then in 26, $3,550,000. If he stays past 26, he gets a $400,000 bonus. He's got all kinds of other bonuses. SEC Coach of the Year, $50,000. Regular season top 4, $100,000. Regular season championship, including ties, $150,000. This is SEC regular season and SEC championship. SEC tournament champion, 25, or SEC tournament. No, that's the finals. If you win the championship, it's 50. National Coach of the Year, $75,000. An NCAA tournament appearance, $50,000. NCAA tournament win is $25,000 per win, or Final Four is $125,000. If you win the national championship, it's $250,000. If you meet certain APR assignments, 950 to 960, 69, he gets $500,000. 970 above, he gets $75,000. If the season tickets sold are average $7,000, he gets a $50,000 bonus. If it's $8,000 or more tickets than the $7,000 that are sold, it's $75,000. You add all those up, my gosh, you can make the $5 million, I guess.
He sure can, and think about it, with paying what they're going to have to pay Kermit Davis for the next few years, and that Ole Miss has got about $6 million wrapped up in head basketball coaches over the next few years, and it was at a place, Dave, that when you first got here in the 80s, especially for basketball, the budget was very slim. It was a lot of bus rides. It was a lot of bus rides to SEC games, and and I'm not talking about just going to Starkville. It was bus rides then to Athens and play in Knoxville, and there's just not that anymore. But Ole Miss, they swung for the fences, and they got him in just a very odd set of circumstances, scandal plagued that it is. But Keith Carter had to take a chance, and he did. And I think he should be applauded, because it shows that Ole Miss is very, very serious about basketball. We know how serious they take football and baseball. Now we see how serious they will take basketball, and it's coming with some backlash. But I think right now in the public domain, Dave, we're so desensitized to anything, we forget about it in 3 days.
I'm with you. I think they take this initial hit, and they took a big hit from Blake Toppmeyer. That was a scathing column that he wrote today that I guess will be in USA Today. I read it on the Commercial Appeal, but he's a USA Today writer. But in all honesty, once he starts winning, all that goes away. The only real gamble that I see that I think could cost an athletic director his job would be if Chris Beard loses his mind again and does something similar. Yeah. I don't think he will.
That's the jeopardy.
Yeah, but that's really the only jeopardy, because as you just said, 3 or 4 days from now, once he gets the signing class in and people start thinking, oh, man, and then Chris Beard's system's going to be in, where are we going to put Ole Miss in the pecking order here? Yeah. Where do you think
he
they're
throws
going
out
to
a first pitch at baseball, and he makes a round in the Grove at football pregame, and then you're off in coaching basketball. But one misstep would cause a lot of chaos.
Yeah, no, that's the gamble, really. I think that the administration's taking, because heads would roll if something bad really happens. I've got to believe that Chris Beard has learned his lesson, and he's no longer involved with his ex-fiancée. So that was probably the first step to try to get back to some sort of normalcy. I hope it works for him. I really do.
I do too.
And that's the way it goes. So, all right, let me ask you, because I don't know if you've made your picks yet. We'll get into all the SEC games, but I'm curious how far you think the Tigers are going.
I think the Tigers for sure will beat FAU, and it is a real coin toss with Purdue. I like the matchup against Purdue. I think the Tigers should just go right at Big Boy, right at Zach Edey, if that's the game, and that would be the game if they beat FAU, really attack him. But Greg Gasson's pointed it out a lot. You've pointed it out a lot. I want to see how that game is whistled, how that game is called against Purdue. If it's ticky-tack and DeAndre Williams and Malcolm Dandridge can't even look at him, well, then there's I think it limits the chances. I won't say there's no chance, but it's very limited. If they'll let him get in and get into his chest a little bit and bang around a little bit, bring it on. I want a brawl. Not a real fracas, but I want a rough and tumble game. Jay Billis, Jimmy Dykes like to call it a rock fight. I would like to see a game like that, but I don't want a score like that. Anything in the 50s, I think, would be greatly in Purdue's favor. I think anything in the 60s probably in Purdue's favor. For the Tigers to win, I think you got to get up there around 74, 73, 75, 72, something in that range. And anything north of that is all Tigers. If it got into the 80s, come on, bring it on.
See, here's what I think about the Zach Edey matchup if the Tigers get there. I think you got to score in transition. You got to beat him down.
Make him run.
You got to make him run, but beat him down the floor, and that's what Memphis does. Memphis is one of the best teams. I just saw this in a Jay Billis column. Memphis is in the upper 20% of the country in baskets in transition. And by the way, that they say, I haven't really seen – I've seen Purdue play a couple of times, but it was against slower Big Ten competition. Mm-hmm. That their guards are not that quick. First of all, they're freshmen. They're apt to turn the ball over against the Memphis pressure.
They're not that big.
And that would allow Memphis to get out and get in transition. Memphis's points off turnovers is usually pretty good. So I think the key in that game, if the Tigers are to get there, and if Purdue gets there, which I'm pretty sure they will, I think it's going to be the Memphis speed in beating Zach Edey down so he's not a factor on the defensive side.
Dave, I love your key. This is a classic old Tigers term. You don't want a whole lot of half-court fist offense trying to be developed. And the old-timers, we all know what the fist offense was with the Little General with Andre Turner in a half-court set.
Well, we don't have Dana Kirk's mentality anymore because guess what? People don't realize Dana Kirk was a brilliant strategic coach. Tactician.
He sure was.
He was. But Dana Kirk never coached a game in the NCAA with a shot clock and a three-point line. Never.
That's right. It was very different times, and when you have a point guard like Andre Turner and a post player like Keith Lee, you want to run sets.
Yeah.
And Keith wasn't great in a track meet. He wasn't. The rest of that team was. William Bedford could really run.
Yes.
Could really cover a kind of free throw line to free throw line with ease. But I've already missed on Mississippi State. I thought they would win last night, and I thought when they got out of Dayton, the SEC would go 6-2 in the first round, with State losing to Iowa State and with Mizzou losing to Utah State. I have Alabama in the finals, losing to Houston, but that's really the only SEC team that I think would be a Sweet 16 team.
Wow.
I don't have Tennessee.
You have Arkansas beating Illinois?
I have Arkansas beating Illinois, but losing to KU.
Okay. I do too.
And if you're right, you went back to back. I just heard you go back to back with KU. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Dave, I think if you're right, back to back 3 total for Bill Self and the health maladies, he says goodbye.
Well, I don't know if the health maladies I think are done, right? I mean, he basically had blockage and he put 2 stents in. They didn't need to do open heart surgery or anything of that nature. Now, maybe it's a wake-up call.
Why risk it, man?
Yeah, because you got to do something. But, he can always do TV. That's what I always say. If I were a coach, look at Jay Wright.
Jay Wright's great.
And he is great. Don't you think Bill Self would be? Look, the best.
I do.
Wouldn't the best be John Calipari? I don't know why. John, I looked up on Forbes, okay? John Calipari is worth $220 million.
Whoa.
Okay? He's worth $220. He's making, what is he making? Like 12 or 13 million a year from KU, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a lifetime contract. He doesn't need money. If he gets tired of all this pressure, he just needs to be doing something. Why he would become like Jim Valvano? I promise you.
He has to have the competition.
I think you may be right.
At no price. Now, he wouldn't do it for no price because he knows I've been paid for this, so I know they're paying it. But how about this? Post-football for Nick Saban and post-basketball for John Calipari. I put them both on game day. I put Calipari on college football game day with Saban and Saban on college basketball game day with Calipari.
That would be something. That
It would be
fun.
entertaining.
It would be. And you know they would debate each other.
I think it would be great stuff.
I'm with you. Any surprises at all in the All-American thing? Zach Edey, first team, Brandon Miller, Jalen Wilson, which is one of the reasons why I pick Kansas, Trace Jackson Davis, Marcus Sasser.
I wasn't surprised. I was just hoping that Kendrick Davis would get a little more acclaim because, and I said this weeks ago, and now a lot of people writing and talking and agreeing, in the history of the one-and-done players, back to Larry Keenan 50 years ago right now, through Tyreek, through Derrick Rose, through all the one-and-dones during last year, the one-and-done year, nobody ever had a bigger year than Kendrick Davis.
No. And I'm going to tell you something. Marcus Sasser, I really don't want to belittle the guy because he's a heck of a player. But he's not the best guy on his own team. He's not the best guard on his own team. Shed is.
Shed is.
I can't believe he was first team All-American. I honestly think that Kendrick Davis, if you've got to get a shot at the end of the game, are you picking Sasser or are you picking Davis?
I'm picking Davis.
I'm picking Davis every day,
every time
of the week. He should have at least been a third-team All-American.
And I'm with y'all. I think Miami makes noise, but I like Houston coming out of that. And look at these matchups potentially. You're going to have A&M in Texas, and then you could have Texas and Houston in the Midwest Regional Final in Kansas City.
It's fantastic. It's March Madness. Is this not the greatest? Come on.
Enjoy. And go to the Jack Nicklaus Museum.
I'm going to. Look at this. I'm just watching this. You know, we have ESPN in the studio because we're high-tech here. Over 14 million ballots have already been downloaded in the ESPN Tournament Challenge.
And I only did
million.
One.
Wow. It's crazy. America loves this tournament. They
almost as many brackets as COVID
tournament.
tests.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.
Dave, be safe and have fun.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, man.
I promise. That's our guy. That is Brett Norsworthy. He is brought to you in part by Dinstall's. The madness has begun. They got a 16-ounce box of assorted chocolates, which your friends will love if you bring it to your watch party, where you buy one and you get one free. Don't miss this wild and crazy deal while they last, only during March for March Madness. Dinstall's has all your favorite sweets for watching the game. Strawberries are here. Cashew Crunch, Turtlettes, a whole lot more. Top off this weekend and tip it off with a stop at Laurelwood, Germantown, Collierville, Pleasant View, downtown. Anywhere in that, you're going to find Dinstall's because they're all over. Those 5 locations, you can't be the hit at your watch party. Get the sweetness of Dinstall's. Back in just a minute. We may get Ron Higgins, we may not, but we will put a wrap on this show. This is Wolo and Friends.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
If this season your business has flourished well above your staffing plan, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the all-in-one hiring platform that makes it easier to attract, screen, and hire quality candidates from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. Final segment of our show. Looks like I think we're a hit and miss with Ron Higgins. We'll catch up with him next week. I should remind everybody this portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Beat the rush. Schedule your $69 air conditioning tune-up right now with Conway. You know that annual tune-up, it's so important. I like to do two. I like to do one in the spring, one in the fall. I kind of winterize, and in the spring, I get my air conditioning thing set perfectly. So I never have to worry about a major breakdown because they see anything coming. And I save money on my MLGW bill because I'm efficient. You need to do that. Your system will last longer. Call 384-3511, or you can go to conwayservices.com for details, terms and conditions. $69 to make sure that you have it all under control. It's just smart business, in my estimation. So the Grizzlies tonight, they will be playing the Heat in Miami. They are 4.5-point underdogs in this game. I haven't seen the list. I'm assuming that everybody except for Ja and Steven Adams and, of course, Brandon Clark, who's out for the year, that they will not be playing, but everybody else should be available.
Correct.
David Roddy has really become an essential part of this team now. Can this last? Is this like Zaire Williams toward the end of last year where he got a little streak going and he was pretty good? Or do you think David Roddy, with that body and is now all of a sudden this acumen of shooting threes, do you think he is a guy who will stay for the next 5 years?
I think
as a rotational player.
I think his game is more sustainable than that of Zaire Williams in the stretch last season. However, I don't think you're going to see that kind of performance keep up really in any regard. I think those two games against the Mavericks, that was a matchup deal, especially with Luka. I think it just came down to matchups in that one game. But I do think he's more sustainable.
Here's in my mind, I know matchups are critical. But you take those two guys off, who's scoring? That's the problem.
Yeah, it was Hardy and
Hardaway.
Went Hardaway, but also Josh Hart was the other one, the only other guy that got going.
They don't have enough firepower. That's what they score, 88 points?
That's right.
They didn't have enough people. But I don't think that team is built for the playoffs because they don't defend. And when Luka and Irving come back, they don't become better defensively.
Josh Green, not Josh Hart. Josh Hart plays for the Knicks. Sorry, I get confused between the two of them. But I think Kleba coming back, he's an excellent post defender. And he's still coming off the bench right now. I think it's some kind of rehabilitation strategy, although I don't know what Jason Kidd's doing, to be quite frank. But I think you get him in the lineup. I do think Kyrie is a better defender than he gets credit for. And then you have Josh Green, I think, has been a good defender, and I like Tim Hardaway. And I think Luka's a really smart defender, too. So I'm not as scared. I want to see Kleba get back in a significant rotation piece. I don't know why he's still coming off the bench.
I used to be fearful of Dallas in a matchup with the Grizzlies. I would love that matchup now.
Really?
Yeah.
But I guess more than alternatives, which would be, the Warriors and the Clippers.
Right.
Certainly.
I'd much rather see them than those two guys, than those two teams, that is for sure. And the way things are going now, the Grizzlies have a full game on Sacramento. Sacramento's schedule is tougher.
They got a tough one tonight.
Than Memphis is down the stretch. Who they got tonight?
They play in Chicago, and you might think, the Bulls aren't ready. The Bulls are competitive at home. I really like the Bulls tonight, quite frankly.
Well, what also is interesting to me is the Grizzlies are not the only bad team in the West with a road record. Sacramento's road record's terrible, too. Everybody's road record, it seems, is not very good. Even the Nuggets are under 500 on the road. They're 16-17. The Grizzlies are terrible at 13-21. I should take that back. The Kings are pretty good. They're 19-13. They're the best. Phoenix is 5 games under 500. The Warriors have the worst road record at 7-26.
No kidding.
So the Kings are actually the best of the road record teams here.
But the Warriors have so much more cachet built up to just flick a switch and turn it on.
I don't know. When you're 7-26, that tells you something.
Well, you got to get Wiggins back. You get Wiggins back, that's a significant addition, so we'll have to see, I guess.
I guess so. This portion of the show brought to you by Old Dominick Distillery, downtown Memphis. It's a real taste of Memphis. We got tastes here. We have the folks from Dinstall's that have been with us forever, but that's the sweet taste, right? When you talk about spirits, oh my gosh, you can't beat Old Dominick, especially those whiskeys. They've just released 2. The master distiller, Alex Castle, she never releases it till it's perfect. She's got these 2 whiskeys. One's a bottled and bond, the other is sipping. It is a great product. Long time in the making, but now it's perfect and it's out there. You can buy it at any spirit shop, including my guys at the spirit shop at Poplar and St. Nick. But check out the distillery. There's tours. It's a full tour with tasting, and they got this great bar that you can get all their products in too. Just great atmosphere. Great place to go when you're downtown looking for something different. The tour, the bar, the whole schmear. You'll love Old Dominick. Time for us to say goodbye. Johnny is next. When I talk to you tomorrow, it'll come from Columbus, Ohio. Have a great day, everybody.
I know you're thinking about